Alright, welcome back. February 10th, 2009, All My Children of You. First off, I gotta say, way better than yesterday. Way better. Starts off, Jesse Hubbard. I don't think I explained who he was, so I'll go ahead and give you a little background now. Jesse was a poor kid. This was back in the 80s, I believe. Before I was even born, or if I was born, I wasn't even talking yet. And he fell in love with Angie, a rich gal. And they grew to become like the first black super couple ever, right? And Jesse got killed in the line of duty, donated all his organs. It was tragic. Angie cried. Fast forward 20 years, and, well, this was back when Zach and Greenlee were trapped in a well. I'm not going to get into that because it doesn't really have anything to do with any of the stories going on right now. But they were trapped in a well and contracted some strange wilderness virus. Well, Angie, being a doctor, was also a infectious disease pathologist or some such shit like that. So Joe, knowing who she was, called her back into town. Was like, look, we need your help. So she comes. This guy, Quentin, who was helping him, he's got the virus. He's sick. Turns out Quentin is Frankie, Angie and Jesse's son, all grown up. So she comes back. Angie comes back, help him and help Greenlee. But Jesse sneaks into the hospital to see Frankie now. How is this possible? Turns out Jesse's death was all faked to get away from some dude named Popel, who was after Diamond that was too big to even look like something that could be even taken seriously. But anyway, so he came back, Angie discovered he was alive, Popel got caught. It was actually pretty sweet. Jesse was hanging on to a helicopter, like, above the air and shit. It was pretty sweet. But anyway, that's how Jesse came back to life. So now we got Jesse, Angie, and Frankie back together. Turns out while Jesse was on the run, which if he was on the run, I don't understand how this happened, but he had a wife and a daughter, and his daughter's now 19. So I guess it didn't take him too long to get over Angie, considering it takes 9 months to make a baby. So we're talking like 3 months, and he was already hopping in a sack with a white chick. Typical black dude. That was a joke, by the way. I'm not racist. But anyway, so it's Jesse's birthday, right? And Natalia, his daughter, while he was on the run, gets him this mug. I guess it's a tradition. She gets him every year. And then turns out it's a surprise party. Angie knew about it. Frankie knew about it. They all come. Bring him this huge cake, and Ted jumps out of the cake, just pops up, dressed like a cop, like a stripper cop or some shit. It was pretty gay, and he starts dancing all over the ladies, and then he starts dancing on Jesse. It was pretty retarded if you ask me, but I can overlook that. Jesse gets a call. Natalia's his daughter. Rebecca, his wife, while he was on the run, is dead. He doesn't really seem too sad about it. It seems kind of fucked up, as he's all lovey-dovey with Angie, who he was only together with for a couple of years, and now they're back together. Fuck his wife that he was with for 20 years, and raising his daughter with, It doesn't seem like he really cared too much about her. But I guess he was supposed to have, is what the story, but I just don't see it. Anyway, she's dead. She's gone. She had a brain tumor. Frankie knew about it, kept it a secret because she wanted to die in peace and not worry people. But anyway, that was the big thing today. Tad and Crystal are going through their divorce. I don't think I ever talked too much about Tad or Crystal. Tad, he used to be known as Tad the Cad. Back in the day, he was Ray Gardner's son. He used to beat the shit out of him. Ray Gardner's actually this Popel who was chasing Jesse. That's his brother. But anyway, he left him abandoned in like the park or something. He got adopted by the Martins, so he's not Tad Gardner. He's Tad Martin now. But anyway, Tad is married to this chick Crystal, who had a daughter, Babe. Was married to JR. I spoke about him in, I think, the last video. Or maybe it was the video before that. But he wasn't in the episode today, so we don't need to talk about him. But anyway, Babe died in the tornado that happened back in October and November. Anyway, Tad and Crystal are getting divorced, basically because she was having an affair with David Hayward, who was the father of Babe. I guess she was having grief sex because they loved Babe so much. This whole grief sex, I think, is pretty ridiculous. That was the excuse they gave Kendall to jump in sheets with Aiden. But anyway, so they're getting divorced, and their lawyers there. They're dividing up property. Tad keeps his house. Crystal gets her bar, The Comeback, that her and Babe built. I know I said I was going to write this shit down, but honestly, I was just too fucking tired, so I didn't. So we're going to have to just deal with what I can remember, which I'm running on about an hour and a half of sleep in the last 2 days, so my memory's probably not too sharp right now. Anyway, the loony bin. So Aiden is still there talking to Annie. Ryan's there, talks to Sinclair, the doctor, and basically says, yeah, Richie warned me about Annie, that she was the crazy one, Richie was a good guy, and all this shit, you know, because he knows that Sinclair had some connection to Richie. You know, he's just going along with her to try to get her to spill the beans, but she still hasn't. He ended up on his way out, dropped some mug or something like that on the floor and broke, and like Sinclair just got all pissed off about it, and she cried, so that mug must have been a gift from Richie. Anyway, let's see. Aiden hacks into the computers, and he finds a letter from the prison that Richie was in Chicago, where she's getting reprimanded and asked to resign for having inappropriate conduct with a inmate, an unnamed inmate, but we all know it's Richie, and they know it's Richie, and that's pretty much how it ended today. So that was pretty much the main important stuff today. Pretty much revolved around the Hubbards and the whole Annie crazy situation. Hinted a little bit at Jake. I haven't mentioned Jake. Tad's adopted brother. He's been gone for several years. He was in, I think it was Sudan, doing, I think, Doctors Without Borders. His wife left him for a trucker. But he had this thing going with Taylor, who was in the Army. But he stepped down so she could be with Brat, who's this guy. He's scarred up. You might have seen him on The View. He's an actual Iraqi war veteran, got scarred in the line of duty, and they basically wrote his story around what really happened to him in Iraq. So he stepped aside for Taylor to be with her. The interesting thing is they're meant to be together, and we know this because they were a super couple, as the term gets thrown around a lot, on, I think it was Guiding Light or something like that. Those two actors, well, actor and actress, were married on that show, and now they're on All My Children. So basically the other thing touched upon on that was him gazing lovingly at her, and Tad's like, look, I know you're not over her. So that was pretty much the only thing that didn't have to do with the Hubbards today, or the Lavery Devane triangle, whatever you want to call it. The situation with the Looney Bin, as I refer to it. But yeah, it was a good episode. Really sets up for tomorrow. I think tomorrow's going to be a lot better, so tune in tomorrow and I'll do what I do. Peace.